नमस्कार मित्रों, जयपुर से प्रकाशित मीडिया त्रैमासिक कम्युनिकेशन टुडे और दिल्ली के भारतीय विद्यापीठ के संयुक्त तत्वावधान में संचालित की जा रही इस वेबिनार श्रृंखला की 157वीं कड़ी में आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत, अभिनंदन। आज हमारे साथ प्रयागराज से इलाहाबाद विश्वविद्यालय के अंग्रेजी विभाग के अध्यक्ष प्रोफेसर सुशील कुमार शर्मा जी हैं, जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग एनिमल्स एंड बर्ड्स इन इंडियन ट्रेडिशंस इनसाइट फ्रॉम द इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम पर आपसे बातचीत करेंगे। आज के इस कार्यक्रम को शुरू करने के पहले मैं भारतीय विद्यापीठ के स्कूल ऑफ जर्नलिज्म एंड मास कम्युनिकेशन की असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर प्रियंका सिंह से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वे सरस्वती वंदना के माध्यम से आज के इस कार्यक्रम को शुरू करें। प्रियंका पिछले 6-7 वर्षों से अध्यापन से जुड़ी हुई हैं। इसके पहले वो रेडियो इंडस्ट्री में आरजे प्रियंका के रूप में अपने शोज करती थी। पॉडकास्टिंग पर आप पीएचडी के लिए रजिस्टर्ड हैं और माखनलाल चतुर्वेदी राष्ट्रीय पत्रकारिता संचार विश्वविद्यालय के नोएडा परिसर से आपने पत्रकारिता में अपनी मास्टर्स की उपाधि प्राप्त की। मीडिया मैनेजमेंट के अनेक राष्ट्रीय अंतर्राष्ट्रीय कार्यक्रमों से आपका जुड़ाव रहा और अध्यापन से जुड़ने के बाद अकादमिक क्षेत्र में भी आप अपनी महती भूमिका का निर्वहन कर रही हैं। अध्यापन के साथ साथ आप भारतीय विद्यापीठ में जनसंपर्क अधिकारी के रूप में भी अपनी सेवाएं दे रही हैं। मैं आपसे अनुरोध करूंगा कि सरस्वती वंदना से आज का इस कार्यक्रम शुरू करें। प्रियंका सिंह।
सर, थैंक यू सो मच। आपने मुझे ये मौका दिया कि आज के हमारे इस वेबिनार को मैं सरस्वती वंदना के साथ, मतलब माँ सरस्वती का नाम लेते हुए शुरू करूं। तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं। इतनी शक्ति हमें दे न दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना, हम चले नेक रास्ते पे हमसे भूल कर भी कोई भूल होना। इतनी शक्ति हमें दे न दाता, मन का विश्वास कमजोर होना, हम न सोचे हमें क्या मिला है, हम ये सोचे कि अब क्या है दर्पण, फूल खुशियों के बाटे सभी को, सबका जीवन ये बन जाए मधुबन, अपनी करुणा का जल तू बहा दे, कर दे पावन हर के मन का कोना, हम चले नेक रास्ते पे हमसे भूल कर भी कोई भूल होना, हम चले नेक रास्ते पे हमसे भूल कर भी कोई भूल होना। थैंक यू सो मच सर, थैंक यू। Abhinavat sir, kindly unmute yourself.
हमारे से किसी प्रकार की भूल न हो और सभी के मन को करुणा से आप्लावित करते हुए हम निरंतर एक नए विश्वास और आस्था के साथ आगे बढ़ते रहें। कुछ इसी प्रकार के भाव आपने व्यक्त किए। जैसा कि सामान्यतः इस तरह के आयोजनों में हम शुरुआत करते हैं हमारे अतिथियों को बुके भेंट कर। चूंकि ये आभासी ये मंच पर कार्यक्रम हो रहा है, इसलिए हमने एक विकल्प तलाश किया है कि यह शुरुआत हम ई बुके से भेंट करें। आज के हमारे जो विशिष्ट वक्ता हैं प्रोफेसर सुशील कुमार शर्मा जी, उनको हम ई बुके से उनका स्वागत अभिनंदन कर रहे हैं। एक बार पुनः मैं प्रियंका जी से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वे ई बुके भेंट कर आदरणीय प्रोफेसर सुशील कुमार जी का स्वागत अभिनंदन करें।
सर थैंक यू सो मच। आपने मुझे फिर से मौका दिया कि आज मैं ई बुके के साथ सर को इनवाइट करूं। सर, वी आर वेरी ग्रेटफुल दैट यू आर हियर विद अस ऑन दिस प्लेटफॉर्म एंड वी आर गोइंग टू लिसन यू ऑन द टॉपिक बिकॉज इस तरीके के टॉपिक पे हमने कभी बात नहीं की है। सो इट जस्ट स्कूल टाइम में हम एनिमल सेफ्टी की बात करते थे, एनिमल को फूड सर्व करने की बात करते थे। तो even I am very excited to listen on the topic. So we are very grateful and this is just an honor of respect and gratitude from our side. और इसी बुके के साथ हमारे प्रोफेसर एम एन हुड्डा सर हमेशा ही कोट करते हैं, इस बुके की जो फ्रेगनेंस है इस बुके की जो फ्रेगनेंस है हम उससे इम्बाइब करें अपनी लाइफ में, इसकी फ्रेशनेस को इम्बाइब करें अपनी लाइफ में. सो आई वुड लाइक टू रिक्वेस्ट द सेम फ्रॉम एवरी पार्टिसिपेंट्स हु आर गैदर्ड विद अस. थैंक यू सो मच सर.
चलिए, और इन फूलों की जो सुरभि है, खुशबू है, वो इसी प्रकार से दिग दिगांतर में फैलती रहे और विचारों का ये प्रवाह इसी प्रकार जारी रहे. और जैसा प्रियंका जी ने कहा कि पशु पक्षियों का संसार भी अद्भुत है. और ये सही है कि जब मुझे विषय सुशील कुमार जी ने सुझाया तो मुझे भी लगा कि इस विषय पर बात क्या होगी, लेकिन जब थोड़ा सोचा तो मुझे लगा नहीं, ये दुनिया बड़ी रोचक, हम मनुष्य बहुत कम जानते हैं इस बारे में. और भारत की जो पूरी ज्ञान परंपरा है वो तो ऐसी ही विरासत और समृद्ध परंपरा से जुड़ी है. आईकेएस पर हमने सोचा कि एक सीरीज शुरू की जाए, क्योंकि नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में अब ये प्रयास किया जा रहा है कि विभिन्न पाठ्यक्रमों के साथ आईकेएस को जोड़ा जाए. इसी श्रृंखला में अब तक हम 2 व्याख्यान करवा चुके हैं भारतीय संचार परंपरा को लेकर के. तो आज आईकेएस पर केंद्रित हमारी ये जो तीसरी सीरीज है, जिसमें हम पशु पक्षियों के उस संसार को समझने का प्रयास करेंगे प्रोफेसर सुशील कुमार जी शर्मा से. उनका विस्तृत परिचय दूंगा मैं अभी जब उनको आमंत्रित करूंगा, लेकिन पृष्ठभूमि के रूप में थोड़ी सी बात अपनी रखना चाहूंगा कि भारतीय परंपरा में पशु पक्षियों का बहुत विशेष महत्व रहा है. एक विशेष अंतर्दृष्टि से हम उस दुनिया को कहीं महसूस करते हैं. पशु पक्षियों का महत्व बहुत अधिक रहा है और हमारे यहाँ तो इन्हें विशेष दर्जा दिया गया है. चाहे हमारे धार्मिक ग्रंथ हैं, साहित्यिक रचनाएं हैं, लोक कथाएं हैं, कला है, वास्तुकला है, इन सभी में पशु पक्षियों की एक विस्तृत भूमिका रही है. और भारतीय परंपरा में ये केवल जीव मात्र नहीं है, बल्कि हमारी सांस्कृतिक, आध्यात्मिक और पर्यावरण संरक्षक के संवाहक भी है. वेद और पुराणों को यदि हम देखें तो उसमें गाय को गौ माता के रूप में हम पूजते हैं और आज तक वो परंपरा चली आ रही है. मेरे ख्याल केवल ये भारत देश ही ऐसा होगा जहां गाय को गौ माता के रूप में हम पूजते हैं, उसकी पवित्रता और उसको संपन्नता का प्रतीक मानते हैं और उसे हम अनन्य, जिसको मारा नहीं जाए, उस रूप में हम उसके प्रति अपना श्रद्धा और विश्वास प्रकट करते हैं. इसी प्रकार हाथी की यदि हम बात करें तो गजराज के रूप में उसे बुद्धिमत्ता और शौर्य का प्रतीक माना गया है. इंद्र का वाहन ऐरावत एक ऐसा पवित्र हाथी है जो, और उधर आप गणेश जी को देखिए, हाथी के सिर के कारण उन्हें गजानन कहा जाता है. इसी प्रकार सिंह या शेर, इसे शक्ति और साहस का प्रतीक माना जाता है. देवी दुर्गा को सिंह पर विराजमान दिखाया जाता है. इसी प्रकार गरुड़ या भगवान विष्णु का वाहन है जो तेज गति, शक्ति और दिव्यता का प्रतीक माना जाता है. और नाग पंचमी से तो हम सब परिचित हैं कि किस प्रकार से नाग पंचमी को हम नागों को दूध पिलाते हैं और उसे संतुलन और शक्ति का प्रतीक मानते हैं. आप रामायण और महाभारत की ओर दृष्टि दौड़ाएं. रामायण में हनुमान और जटायु, ये भी तो कहीं वानर के रूप में ही चित्रित किए गए थे, जो भक्ति, शक्ति और सेवा के प्रतीक है. वहीं जटायु एक गरुड़ था जिसने माता सीता की रक्षा के लिए रावण से युद्ध किया और वीर गति को प्राप्त होता है. महाभारत में अश्वत्थामा और शेन, द्रोणाचार्य के पुत्र अश्वत्थामा का नाम एक दिव्य अश्व घोड़े पर आधारित था, उसकी शक्ति और अमरता का प्रतीक है. वहीं कृष्ण ने कौरवों के खिलाफ युद्ध के दौरान शेन या बाज का रूप धारण कर लिया था. सिंह और सियार, यह कथा हमें सिखाती है कि छल, कपट और बुद्धिमानी से भी बलवान सिंह को पराजित किया जा सकता है. कछुआ और खरगोश, इनकी कथाएं तो हम बचपन से ही सुनते आ रहे हैं. कौवा और घड़ा, इसकी कहानी कौन नहीं जानता है. एक कौवा प्यासा था, इस तरह से करके हम बच्चों को भी शिक्षित एक तरह से करते हैं. इसी प्रकार भारतीय मंदिर और स्थापत्य कला में पशु पक्षियों का गहरा संबंध आप देखते हैं. खजुराहो और कोणार्क के मंदिरों में हाथी और गरुड़, इन मंदिरों में जीवों की सुंदर नक्काशी देखने को मिलती है जो देवता के वाहन और शक्ति के रूप में माने जाते हैं. अशोक स्तंभ का सिंह, यह भारतीय गणराज्य का राष्ट्रीय प्रतीक है जो शक्ति, साहस और न्याय का प्रतिनिधित्व करता है. भारतीय ज्योतिष और पशु पक्षी का भी गहरा संबंध है. जितनी भी हमारी राशियां हैं उनका संबंध किसी न किसी पक्षी से जुड़ा हुआ है. मेष राशि का प्रतीक भेड़, वृषभ का बैल, सिंह का शेर, मकर का मगरमच्छ. इसी तरह नक्षत्रों का भी पशु पक्षियों के साथ कितना गहरा संबंध है. पर्यावरण संरक्षण में पशु पक्षियों की अपनी एक विशेष भूमिका है. गाय और कृषि प्राचीन काल से ही भारत में कृषि में गाय को महत्वपूर्ण माना गया है। इसका दूध, गोबर और मूत्र जैविक कृषि के अंदर बहुत उपयोगी है। हाथी संरक्षण, हमारे यहाँ कितना अभ्यारण्य बने हुए हैं, जो काजीरंगा और पेरियार राष्ट्रीय उद्यान, जहां इनकी सुरक्षा की जाती है। गिद्ध और पर्यावरण, इसके संतुलन बनाए रखने के लिए अपना पर्यावरण का संतुलन में महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाते हैं। भारतीय पर्वों और त्योहारों के साथ पशु पक्षियों का, तो कहने का मतलब यह है कि जीवन का कौन सा ऐसा पक्ष है जहां पशु पक्षियों की उपस्थिति हम नहीं देखते हैं। निश्चय ही इनका ये संसार बहुत रोचक और अद्भुत है। मैं आमंत्रित करूंगा आदरणीय प्रोफेसर सुशील कुमार जी शर्मा को कि इस दुनिया के कुछ पक्षों से हमें परिचित कराएं। जैसे मैंने बताया, प्रोफेसर सुशील कुमार शर्मा इलाहाबाद विश्वविद्यालय प्रयागराज में अंग्रेजी एवं आधुनिक यूरोपीय भाषा विभाग के अध्यक्ष हैं। आपने अंग्रेजी में एमए और एमफिल किया था 1982 और 83 में, और 89 में आपने पीएचडी किया मिल्टन की रचनाओं में प्रलोभन विषय पर, और 1991 में आपने क्रिएटिव राइटिंग इन इंग्लिश ये कोर्स पास किया था। 2003 से आप इलाहाबाद विश्वविद्यालय में अंग्रेजी विभाग के प्रोफेसर के रूप में काम कर रहे हैं। इसके पहले आप आईकेएस यूनिवर्सिटी खैरागढ़, जीबी पंत कृषि एवं प्रौद्योगिकी विश्वविद्यालय पंतनगर तथा चित्रकूट ग्रामीण विकास विश्वविद्यालय में भी विभिन्न पदों पर कार्य कर चुके हैं। प्रोफेसर शर्मा की 5 पुस्तकें, 60 से अधिक शोध ग्रंथ, 15 साक्षात्कार और 30 पुस्तक समीक्षाएं प्रकाशित हो चुकी हैं। अनेक शोध पत्रिकाओं के संपादकीय और समीक्षकों के पैनल रिव्यूअर के रूप में भी आप सम्मिलित किए गए हैं। उनकी 3 शोध परियोजनाएं आप कंप्लीट कर चुके हैं तथा 7 विद्यार्थियों ने आपके निर्देशन में पीएचडी की उपाधियां प्राप्त की हैं। शताधिक अंतर्राष्ट्रीय राष्ट्रीय सेमिनारों में आपकी सहभागिता रही है और अनेक सेमिनार, कार्यशालाएं और सम्मेलनों का आयोजन उन्होंने अपने विश्वविद्यालय में किया है। प्रोफेसर शर्मा ने देश विदेश की खूब यात्राएं की है और 250-300 के आसपास व्याख्यान उन्होंने अनेक राष्ट्रीय अंतर्राष्ट्रीय आयोजनों में दिए हैं, और रचनात्मक लेखन की दिशा में भी उनका महत्वपूर्ण योगदान रहा है। उनकी कविताएं कनाडा, फ्रांस, आयरलैंड, इंग्लैंड का आदि के जो पत्र पत्रिकाएं हैं उसमें भी प्रकाशित होते रही हैं। उनका हाल ही में प्रकाशित एक काव्य संग्रह अनवाइंडिंग सेल्फ कटक विश्वनाथ कविराज संस्थान में समीक्षकों द्वारा सराहा गया है, और उनकी कविताएं अनेक भाषाओं में अनुदित हुई हैं, जिनमें मुख्य रूप से असमिया, फ्रेंच, हिंदी, पोलिश, संस्कृत, सर्बियाई, तमिल, तेलुगु, तुर्की और यूक्रेनी भाषा। तो एक प्रकार से आपने जो लेखन किया है उसे अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर मान्यता मिली है। आपको 2020 में एसोसिएशन फॉर इंग्लिश स्टडीज ऑफ इंडिया का ESI लाइफ टाइम अचीवमेंट अवार्ड से आपको सम्मानित किया गया है। यह पुरस्कार उन्हें 64वें ऑल इंडिया इंग्लिश टीचर्स कॉन्फ्रेंस मगध विश्वविद्यालय बोध गया में जो संपन्न हुआ था उसमें प्रदान किया गया है। संस्कृति अध्ययन, अंग्रेजी भाषा शिक्षण, तुलनात्मक साहित्य, भारत में अंग्रेजी अध्ययन और समकालीन साहित्यिक सिद्धांत के वे विशेषज्ञ हैं, और भारतीय अंग्रेजी अध्ययन संघ, तुलनात्मक साहित्य संघ, भारतीय कनाडाई अध्ययन संघ और सिद्धांत जैसे मंचों और संस्थानों के वे सक्रिय सदस्य हैं। इसके अलावा वे रॉल्फ डब्ल्यू इमर्सन सोसाइटी और भारतीय समकालीन साहित्य अध्ययन संघ के साथ भी सक्रिय रूप से जुड़े रहे हैं। आपका व्यापक अध्ययन अंग्रेजी साहित्य और भारतीय ज्ञान परंपरा के साथ है। मैं अनुरोध करूंगा प्रोफेसर शर्मा से कि आज का जो ये विषय है उसके ऊपर अपने अनुभवों को हमारे साथ साझा करें। प्रोफेसर सुशील कुमार शर्मा।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद प्रोफेसर बनावत जी। आपने जिन शब्दों में मेरी प्रशंसा की है, मुझे लगता नहीं कि मैं उसके योग्य हूं, लेकिन मैं प्रयास करूंगा कि मैं आपकी अपेक्षाओं पे खरा उतर सकूं। अंग्रेजी का अध्यापक होने के नाते मुझसे अपेक्षा की जाती है जगह जगह कि मैं अंग्रेजी में ही बोलूं और मैंने अपना पूरा प्रेजेंटेशन भी अंग्रेजी में ही तैयार किया है, तो मुझे लगता है कि उससे कुछ आपत्तियां आप लोगों को नहीं होंगी। तो बीच बीच में मैं हिंदी का भी प्रयोग करने की छूट मुझे रहेगी, ऐसा मुझे प्रतीत होता है। this issue of the study of animals, birds, and insects, as a matter of fact, is a subject matter of concern all over the world, particularly in view of the environmental crisis that we have been facing over the years. And like many other movements that have been appropriated by the West and that have been imposed on us, or that have been thrown to us through various forums, this movement also has been thrown to us. So, like other discourses, this discourse also is a current discourse, and it is just by the way that in the NEP 2020 an emphasis has been made on Indian knowledge system. So we are getting an opportunity to look into all these discourses from our perspective also. Still, I would like to remind you that in the Western discourse, particularly critical discourse, Anthropocene and Symbiocene, these are the two current terms. And this Anthropocene basically is a development model which centers human beings, which focuses on the human beings as the center of the development and the center of the universe. So from where does this idea come? What is this Symbiocene? Environmentalists are saying that other parts of this body or our parts of this world, they are equally important and they also need to be paid attention to. And this is the basic debate. So apparently this debate is a very superfluous debate. And this has its genesis in the Abrahamic religions. In the book of Genesis, God said, let there be light. There was light, and God said it was good. Then God created animals, then he created plants, then he created, and on the last day, he created a human being, and he took some dust, he put air into that, into the nostrils of that dust, and he created man in his own image. So it is only man that has been created in his own image. So man is the center, and thereafter God rested. Nothing has happened thereafter. So, and then an instruction was also given to Adam, the first man, that now you name these objects and you use them. Right? So everything is for the consumption of human beings. In this entire process of creation, there is no place for a female, because God created man in his own image, and the Abrahamic God happens to be a typically male figure. And therefore, it was an afterthought that a woman needs to be created, that too for the benefit and for the entertainment of man, the first man. That was an afterthought, and that was done after several. And therefore, in the Abrahamic religions, the women are giving the secondary positions. So that issue is being taken up by the feminists, whether this equivalence is required or not required, to what extent this will be required. My concern in today's lecture is the animals, birds, and I have also included insects. And our concept of this creation is entirely different. In the Western concept, or in the Abrahamic concept, whether it is Judaism or Christianity or Islam, these three religions, they are known as Abrahamic religions or Semitic religions. In the Semitic religions, God is one power, and outside God there is another power. In the form of intermediary power, Adam has been created, man has been created, and this very paradigm is the center for Anthropocene. And therefore, The environmentalists are saying that we do not need to keep the human beings at the center of the universe, and everything need not be done keeping in view that man happens to be the center. Rather, we should try to respect each and everything. Symbiocene approach, therefore, is being recommended. Now, whether this approach, kindly make me the me the presenter. Banawat साहब.
आप प्रियंका जी आप सुन रही हैं? प्रियंका जी
बिल्कुल सर।
हाँ आप वो प्रेजेंटर कर दीजिए इनको आप
एक मिनट सर, बस
उसको
एक
जी
मिनट।
को, हाँ।
Anna, I would like to share
Done.
my presentation at this stage so that I am able to talk about more authentically as to what is the Indian take. And I'll be doing it in the form of an abstract first, so that you get the entire gist of whatever I wish to say.
Done.
So the abstract is, sir, that the Vedic rishis or Vedic philosophers, whatever you call them, whether rishis or philosophers, they hold that everything is a manifestation of Brahma. This wisdom finds a manifestation in the Upanishadic verses like Bahusyam Prajapate, he desired to be many. Taittiriya Upanishad. Eko Deva Sarva Bhuteshu, Shweta Saropanishad. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, Chandogya Upanishad, Aham Brahmasmi, Bradaranyak Upanishad, Tattvamasi, Chandogya Upanishad, and I am Atma Brahma, Mundak Upanishad. Hence, there is no other for a traditional Hindu, at least philosophically speaking, neither in the human world nor in the non-human. And the Hindu texts are full of examples where these philosophical ideas have been put into practice as a daily routine by the individuals. Professor Banawat a little while ago talked about various kinds of mounts and Ganga and Gau Mata, right? Because we do not see anything as other, therefore we are able to have a one-to-one relationship, and we consider that the animals too are a manifestation of the God Brahma himself, and therefore they are as important as we are. So the Hindu texts are full of examples where these philosophical ideals have been put into practice as a daily routine by the individuals. In the later period, several texts like Smritis and Puranas were created to enable a person evolve a code of conduct for oneself, in which due respect is shown to other forms of life, other than human beings. Accordingly, a code of conduct for the individuals and the societies got evolved, and the distinct lifestyle presents a sharp contrast to the way of life adopted by the practitioners of a non-Hindu way of life, like the ones adopted by the followers of Abrahamic religions. So what is our philosophical tradition? A hint has already been given to you. So people attempt to comprehend the universe through a religious consciousness, which consists of a curious mix of three elements: intellect, feeling, and action. The process of a society's acquiring its cognitive orientation is no different from that of an individual. An individual develops his cognitive orientation by encompassing the whole of the individuals of knowledge, intellect, culture, action, and point of view, feeling. Every society develops a worldview for its smooth sail. A worldview is a generalized system of the specialized views of the surrounding world and the man's place in it, and of man's relationship with the rest of the world, including himself. The worldview may also be described as a collection of basic positions of the people's religious and other beliefs, socio-political and moral and aesthetic ideals, and the principle by which they know and appraise material and spiritual instances. The nucleus of all that one has in the worldview of an individual or a society is the philosophical view upheld by the person or that group. So the development of a society is deeply intertwined with the philosophical ideas. It is the philosophical thoughts that societies nurture and shape and societal structure and provide an understanding of justice in various forms. For example, associational justice, economic justice, epistemic justice, legal justice, political justice, procedural justice, social justice, societal justice, retributive justice, restorative justice, etc. And decide how to approach issues like individual duties, rights, and equality vis-a-vis other humans and their surroundings. The role of numerous administrative bodies that shape and monitor societal progress and evolution across different historical periods is also largely decided by the philosophical concepts that a society has pondered over, developed, and accepted. Philosophical thoughts set cultural norms and values impacting how people perceive and interact with each other within a society. The diversity and depth of a society is generally decided by the range of questions dealt with in a particular philosophical system. The philosophical system becomes the defining and regulative principle of all the vital relationships between man and the surroundings. The philosophical ponderings characterize a person's notion of the world and facilitate the posing of certain goals. This formation of the generalized worldview thereupon rolls out a broad plan of life, ideas, notions of well-being, good and evil, beauty and progress. This in turn implies an individual and a society to act, and consequently a culture comes to exist. The philosophy shapes not only the content of the worldview, but also the mode of thinking and questioning the apparent reality. To put it differently, religion exerts a profound influence on individuals and society. Throughout history, it has proved to be the primary force for societal progress, motivating individuals to develop moral qualities and empowering them to contribute to the betterment of their communities. However, misinterpretations in the religious history have also been the greatest means of creating disorder in the world. And then I continue talking about it. So in Hinduism, what is important is that karma, rebirth, and moksha, these are the three uh, uh, issues that are important, and these three issues are not present in any other religion outside India, and therefore we Hindus, we do not make any distinction between the human beings and the non-human beings. So we uphold, because of these three doctrines, karma, rebirth, and moksha, we we uphold that the deepest single philosophical truth, that Brahma, the divine, pervades the entire universe. Since Brahma can take a form, all forms of existence, living or non-living, irrespective of being human or non-human, or can connect with the divine. Or this universal divinity is worshipped by the Hindus in a male, for example Vishnu, in a female, for example Durga, a combination of male and female, Ardhanarishwar, animals, for example cow, reptiles, for example a snake, trees, for example Ashwath tree, rivers like Ganga, a lake like Mansarovar, hillocks like Govardhan, birds like Garud, human bones like a skull, animal bones like a conch, a stone like a shaligram, and the like. When the Hindus worship any form, it is the formless supreme Brahma behind the form which is being worshipped. Now, how the world has come into existence has also been a subject matter of discussion, and I have already talked about how the world came into existence according to the book of Genesis. However, what does our Hindu tradition say? In the Hindu tradition, the Rishi in the Chandogya Upanishad contemplates on the origin of the world And the topic again appears in the Upanishad. The existence decided, I shall be many and I shall be born. And he then created fire. That fire also decided, I shall be many and I shall be born. And then fire produced water. That's why whenever or wherever a person moans or perspires, he produces water. This is from Chandogya Upanishad. The issue has been discussed in Shweta Vutara Upanishad also. And this Upanishad discusses the metaphysical questions about the primal cause of all existence, its origin, its end, and what role, if any, time, nature, necessity, chance, and the spirit has as the primal cause. A few rishis, Brahmavadis, discuss among themselves the issues like who is the supreme Brahma, Shiva, Rudra, etc., etc., right? And by whose will are we moving? Why do we get happy or miserable? And where is our final rest? And the Rishi says that universal highest self, Ishwar, God, Brahma, Rudra, exists in every individual. It expresses itself in every creature. Everything in the world is a projection of it. And there is oneness, a unity of selves in one and only self. And this idea also finds a projection in various other Upanishads also. For example, Katha Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Brahmanand Valli of Taittiriya Upanishad, Atharvaved, Mandukya Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, etc., etc. So, since it is a long paper, I'm leaving certain things, but I would like to mention here. I think all of you must have heard about Raman Maharishi, the saint from Tamil Nadu. On being asked, how should we treat others? Raman Maharishi replied, I quote, there are no others. Right? So while a woman is considered to be a sinner, and all human beings are considered to be sinners, and therefore the existence of church is justified by Christians, there is nothing of the sort in India. Right? We do not consider anybody as other, be it human, non-human, plants, sinner, virtuous. We do not divide people into categories like that. Now, animals, birds, and insects, creation and classification. One of the issues in the text happens to be how this world came into existence, how animals came into existence, how they need to be classified. So Hindus believe in the 10 reincarnations of Lord Vishnu, who descended on this earth to restore cosmic order. The first 6 avatars need a consideration here. In the order of their appearance, they are Matsya avatar, fish in Satyug, Kurm, Vara, Narsim, Vaman, and Parshuram. So these are the 6 avatars that we are going to take into consideration. Now, what does a scientist like J.B.S. Haldane view? He sees these incarnations in the light of Darwin's theory of evolution and finds a perfect synchrony between the two. In his essay, Haldane also mentions that many Eastern religions such as Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism have long recognized that animals have rights and duties. Indian art and religion depict divinity in plentiful animal and bird forms. Kindness towards other species has long been an accepted tradition, at least in theory, if not always in practice in India. There are no parallels in the tradition of Europe and North America. This is what Haldane says. Now, the earliest description, the creation, is found in the Purush Sukta of Rig Veda, right? Then in the Sukta, in the 8th verse, one comes across the classification of animals. The animals which can fly in the air, Vyavya, those which dwell in the forest, Aranya, and those which reside in villages or human habitats, Gramya. The Padam Puran, Shrishti Khand, gives a detailed gives details about the creation of the world as one has also done in the book of Genesis in the Bible. The only difference between them is that the Puranic descriptions are more detailed, while chapter 3 of section deals with the kinds of creation. Chapter 6 deals with the birth of devas, daityas, birds, and the serpents, etc. Creation of movables like gods, demons, manes, human beings, spirits, goblins, gandharvas, groups of celestial nymphs, sindhas, kinnaras, demons, lions, birds, beasts, and reptiles, and the immovables like trees, grain crops like rice, wild rice, barley, wheat, uh, arhak, market, kodwara, pulses like grams, beans, masoor, etc., etc. Oil seeds like sesame, spices like long pepper, hemp, gavedu, grass, and bamboo seeds are mentioned in Padma Purana. And the same thing almost has been repeated in various other Puranas also. So I'm skipping this section. In Manusmriti also, this creation has been talked about, right? And in Manusmriti, even these insects have been involved. So creatures having, Manusmriti classifies animal world into the following 8 types. Creatures having 2 rows of teeth, semi-divine beings, kinnar, and those that are similar to humans, vanar, fish, several kinds of birds, cattle and other animals useful to humans, mrig, wild beasts like lion, tiger, etc. Worms, maggots, insects like beetles, lice, flies, bugs, and moths, like gadflies and gnats. And Manusmriti also classifies animals based on the manner of their birth: viviparous, oviparous, sweat-born, and born from heat. All this is all this is being indicated in order to show that Indian scientists or Indian rishis were interested not only in their origin, but how they were sustaining themselves and how these animals need to be classified, right? The same thing is being done by the scientists even today. They are also trying to classify various kinds of knowledge that they try to acquire, and then they try to find a solution. So what are they trying to do? The same effort is being made constantly by our rishis. You may call them scientists, you may call them rishis, you may call them philosophers. In Charak Samhita, which happens to be a text of medical sciences, the animals have been classified as terror group of creatures, the burrowing creatures, the wetland animals, the aquatic animals, the jungle animals, the aquatic birds, the galaceous birds, the pecker group of birds, meaning thereby that every rishi, according to his need or according to his understanding, has tried to classify whatever one sees around oneself. So our rishis, they were not fools. They were trying to understand life and they were trying to understand the world around them, right? So animals as intelligent creatures. Now, Bhagwan Dattatreya, an incarnation of 3 Hindu trinity, for example, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and the creator of Avadut Gita, one of the most important texts of Hinduism, had 24 gurus. We recently celebrated this Kumbh at Allahabad, and you might have seen pictures of thousands of Naga sadhus that came to stay in and do their penance in Allahabad. So these people, what were they doing? These people worship Bhagwan Dattatreya. Bhagwan Dattatreya. Generally, we do not pay attention to these people and we ignore, right? But temples of Bhagwan Dattatreya are found across India, right? So who are these 24 gurus? 11 of which are from the world of animals, birds and insects. He learned his life lessons from a pigeon, python, bumblebee, hawk, moth, elephant, deer, fish, snake, spider, and caterpillar, and therefore considered them to be his gurus. So these 24, out of these 24 gurus, 11 are from this sect, right? From this group of animals, birds, and insects. According to Markandeya Puran, birds are full of wisdom. Sage Markandeya says that the sons of the great birds Drona, Pingaksha, Vidoba, Suputra, Sumuk, etc., they stay in the caves among the hills of Vindhyachal, and they are proficient in Vedas. Shuka, parrot, is known for his ability to repeat anything he hears. A crow, cock Bhushandi, narrates the story of Ramayana to Garud, the king of birds, in Ramcharitmanas, an epic of cultural, historical, and religious importance. A parrot, Sukdev, is the main narrator in the Bhagavad Puran, an important scripture in the Vaishnav tradition. He is depicted as reciting the stories of the Puranas to King Parikshit. In the Garud Puran, the story is narrated by a Hindu god Vishnu to Garud. Vultures too are quite intelligent. One comes across the heroic deeds of two vultures, Jatayu and Sampati, in Ramcharitmanas. Jatayu, known as the king of vultures, Gidraj, was the younger son of Arun and his wife Shayani, the brother of Sampati, as well as the nephew of Garud. He was also an old friend of King Dashrath, Rama's father. Jatayu and Sampati helped Lord Ram in their own way. Jatayu died trying to save Sita from Ravan. Jatayu told Ram and Lakshman that Ravan had taken Sita south. Sampati told Hanuman, Angad and Jamvan, where Sita was being held by Ravan. Now, a reference to Pipilika, Pipilika is ant, an insect, is found in Atharved, Chandogya Upanishad, Mahabharata, and Manusmriti. In these references, an ant has been presented as a diligent and intelligent creature that pays attention to its work with full attention and hints at their eusocial nature. Various insects like ants, bees, and white ants are quite intelligent as they work on the principle of division of labor. They function as workers, soldiers, and queens that contribute to the colony's functioning. They have a high level of social organization where individuals of the same species cooperate in tasks like foraging, defending the colony, and caring for the queen and brood, like eggs, larvae, or pupae. Whenever ants make their mounds higher in rains, whenever they move from one place to another with eggs, larvae, pupae, and food, it rains, right? So human beings use their intelligence for their own benefit. According to a legend, Shiva is believed to have transformed himself into an anthill at Tiruvamburur in Tamil Nadu and tilted his head at the place to enable devas in the form of ants could climb and worship him. Sage Valmiki got his name because ants built an anthill around him while he was deeply meditating during the penance. No wonder that the temple town Tiruvamburu in Tamil Nadu is named after ants. Ants are considered to be sacred. It Irumbureshwar temple that stands there. The legend behind the temple goes on like this. The king and the queen of the region were great Shiva devotees. They went to Kashi in north and had darshan of Lord Vishwanath. They wanted to raise one temple for Kashi Vishwanath in Tamil Nadu. One day Lord Shiva appeared in the king's dream and asked him to follow the line of ants and asked him to build a temple where the ants finished their travel. As directed, the king followed the ants that led him to the beautiful garden on the banks of the river. There he built a huge temple, a huge Shiva temple. In Hinduism, at least two deities, Kamdev and goddess Brahmari, are associated with bees. Kamdev is armed with a bow and arrows, and the bow is of a sugar cane, while the bow is string is a line of bees, and each arrow is tipped with a distinct flower. The goddess Brahmari is associated with bees, wasp, and hornets. Brahmari. She is considered to be another form of goddess Mahadevi or Durga, the goddess of power and strength. In the Hindu myth, Brahmari Devi kills demon Arunsura, who had waged a war against gods. The very fact that Brahmari is a reincarnation of Durga indicates that there is nothing like lower and higher in Indian philosophical system, as everything, including an insect, is a manifestation of Brahma. So Jobs, Jobs G, Dictionary of Mythology, Folklore and Symbols. So George observes that insects are the lowest stage of human incarnation and they have only a minor, non-powerful role to play, is not lopsided but also inconsistent with Hindu philosophical system, right? So when we in the universities try to understand Buddhism through or other things regarding India through these Western scholars, we may not get the right kind of information. That animals and birds react to the changing environment is a known fact, and the indigenous tribes living in Andaman and Nicobar Islands saved themselves from the tsunami on December 26, 2004 by observing the unusual behavior of birds and animals, like the rapid movement of the higher ground, which served as a warning signal of the impending disaster. So you can learn so many things from the animals only when you give them respect and when you know that they are equally intelligent. If you consider that these animals have got no wisdom at all, you will not listen to them, you will not follow their behavior, right? In the Anushashan Parva Mahabharata, there is a conversation between Rishi Vyas and the crawling worm, which is indicative that the worm has all those feelings: happiness, pain, sorrow, anxiety, fear, etc., and concerns, and feels concerns about past, present, and future as its life as human being, as any human being has. So they are affected by the even by the god of justice, Lord Shanidev. There are references to the sufferings of a snake, Ugendra, lion, animals, including wild animals, forest creatures, insects, moths, and bumblebees when Shanidev is in opposition. So that one is expected to keep the animals alongside even while praying is indicated in the same text. ये शनिश्चर स्तोत्र की बात मैं कर रहा हूं, उसका जो 9वां अंश है उसमें ये सब चीजें हैं. So this is indicative of the fact that the animals too are entitled for moksha, and moksha, one of the highest forms of purusharth for a Hindu. ये देखिए, ये सारी जो वर्षें हैं ये मैंने यहाँ सब लिख दी हैं, कौन कौन सी हैं. सारे जो नंबर हैं, जो भी आपको रेफरेंस चाहिए, सब चीज का रेफरेंस मेरे पास, राइट? So no wonder that one finds their frequent mention in the Hindu myths and legends, and the fables of Panchtantra present the animals and birds in a very good light. The animals like asses, cats, crabs, elephants, lions, banyan deer, monkeys, elephants, jackals, lions, crows, tigers, rabbits, fish, deer, buffaloes, and tortoise, etc. And the birds like parrot, great eagle, cock, crane, and woodpeckers, etc., figure in many Jatak tales, a collection of Buddhist stories. So all this indicates that the Hindus have gone beyond noting the contribution of animals and birds in the maintenance and preservation of environment. So the Western concerns are simply limited to this: the maintenance and preservation of environment. Right? This is what now they have also started making a distinction between surface ecology and deep ecology, right? So most of these issues, they are simply concerned with the surface ecology, maintenance and preservation of environment. So they have rather treated them, they means the Westerners, they have rather treated them as equals in certain respects and more than equals in certain others. So I'm sorry, they refers to Hindus here. So all this indicates that Hindus have gone beyond nothing. beyond noting the contribution of animals, and they have considered them equals in certain respects and more than equals in certain others. For example, this weather prediction. Ants know when it's going to rain, but human beings do not know when it's going to rain. So there are considerable number of stories and historical anecdotes in which the birds are used as carriers of messages and letters. Therefore, many people raise various kinds of birds for manifold purposes, including predicting future. Right? This issue of mounts has already been raised by बनावत साहब. उन्होंने इशारा किया ही है कि देखिए बहुत सारे जो हमारे देवी देवता हैं सबके पास कोई ना कोई पशु पक्षी है. Right? So I'm going to skip this section and I'm going to move on to another section, animal husbandry. So animals have been discussed from the utilitarian point of view also in so many texts. For example, in Charak Samhita and other Ayurvedic texts, there are chapters devoted to the medicinal value of certain animal parts and products. And there are about 50 verses in Charak Samhita and Sutrasthan under the heading, the group of meats, mans. And in the third section of the chapter entitled Classification of and Regimen of Food and Beverages. The chapter also mentions general and specific qualities of the flesh of sheep, hare, black buck, hog, cow, buffalo, fish, rohit fish, tortoise, rhinoceros, and swan egg. Right? Meaning thereby that people used to eat the meat of all these, and that's why these characteristics they have been talked about. Now this beef, cow meat is a hotly debated topic these days. I shall be talking about it in the later part of this this presentation. Indians have also paid attention to the animal welfare, and one gets to know from tradition that Ashwani Kumars, twin deities always described together, the physicians of the deities were also experts in the treatment of the animals. For example, the story of Agriv is found. They acquired veterinary knowledge from sage Dadichi, who had acquired this knowledge from Lord Indra. In the Vedas, however, wherever the issue of human health has been discussed, animal welfare is included there. For example, the remedies for health, as find mentioned in Atharvaveda, are equally applicable to the animals as well. One comes across a lot of information on animal care, health management, and disease cure in these texts. And during Mahabharat period, Nakul, the author of Ashwa Chikitsa, was considered to be an equine expert, while Sahadev was a specialist in cattle management. One finds a mention of Salihotra, Pal, Nakul, and Sahadev as experts in detailed knowledge about animal anatomy, physiology, diseases, and treatments. Lord Krishna himself was an expert caretaker and conservator of cow husbandry. Ancient India had developed a surgical technique in the first known veterinary hospital.
बना दो प्लीज, बना दो प्लीज
Tried to treat horses.
छोटा बना दो।
पुराना दिखा रहे जो वो नहीं देखा तो हमारी तो बहुत
ये संदीप जी अपना माइक बंद कर लें आप। हाँ ठीक है।
Yes, sir. So we find books like Nakul's Ashu Shastra, Nakul's Samhita, Prince Sahadev's Gavya Ayurveda, Acharya Salihotra's Ashwa Ayurveda, Braspati's Gaj Lakshan, Acharya Palakappa's Gaj Ayurveda, Himadri's Gaj Darpan, Acharya Palakappa's Hasta Ayurveda, Someshwar's Mansola's Neelkanth's Matang Leela, Hamsdev's Mrugupad Shastra, Gana's Siddhopadesh Sangrah, etc., etc. So these are various books of veterinary sciences that one finds. I'm moving on to another section. I'm leaving the details of all these shastras. Now, how do human beings show respect to the animal life? As already indicated in the Hindu thought, the divine Brahma manifests itself in himself in various forms, including those of the animals. Hindus believe that one gets a particular shape and body owing to one's karmic merit. When sentient beings die, they can either be reincarnated as a human or as an animal. So in Hinduism, an animal contains a soul just like any other human being. Like humans, they are also beings, bhutas, subject to mortality, the laws of nature, the cycle of births and deaths, karma, triple gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, and the possibility of salvation. The animals, therefore, are shown respect and compassion by the Hindus, though many of them may not be reared up as pets. For example, the Hindus cook their meals. They are required to cook a portion also for the animals, birds, and insects. They are expected to follow the principles of Panchpali. The prepared meals in the manner of a yajna are first offered to God, Vasudev, and then Hindus believe that what they are eating is only a prasad. So 5 portions, Panchbali, from the prepared meals are set apart for each a cow, a dog, a crow, gods, ants, and other insects. And there are some others who offer food to cows, dogs, rats, ants, and serpents, either on some festival day or take a vow to feed them for a specific duration. Now, Hindus are taught to respect life in all its form. A Hindu is not supposed to kill rodents, even rats, reptiles, snakes and lizards, insects like mosquitoes, spiders, bedbugs, etc. Either. For these creatures too are the members of the commonwealth of a house, and they also make their own abodes and live in our house. The human beings occupy their natural habitat or space forcefully, so they also have a right to live in the human space. A Hindu is taught that a man has a moral right to protect himself, but he has no moral right to kill anyone. If there are poisonous creatures like snakes and scorpions, etc., in the house, they should be caught and left at a safe distance away from the house. Small insects like flies, mosquitoes, bed bugs, etc., are born due to uncleanliness. Therefore, cleanliness and purity should be maintained in the house at the utmost, so that they do not inhabit there. Even if they are born while maintaining cleanliness, the human beings have no right to kill them. Swami Ram Sukhdas suggests that a farmer should not use insecticides and pesticides to control damage to the crops. In today's term, this is called organic farming. Also, the agriculture should be done in such a way that the least harm is done to the creatures on the earth and in the earth, for the atonement of the sin committed by the unavoidable killings. For the atonement of the sin committed by the unavoidable killings, like while walking, cooking, grinding, he suggests that every person should perform Bali Vashudev or Panch Mahayagya. And Jain hermits go a step further. They wear a Mupatti to reduce the chances of killing even a small insects and other airborne life by inhaling them. This way of life is the result of understanding that the divine is present in all living beings, including both human and non-human. Jainism not only preaches to be non-violent towards fellow human beings, animals, and plants, but also towards every soul, Atma, in this universe, including earth, water, air, fire, which has a soul, Atma, in it. Therefore, a Jain monk shuns vehicles, electric gadgets, doesn't shave his hair, beard, mustache, etc., and removes them by plucking using hands, etc. A Hindu is supposed to have full equanimity, to be bursting with love, mercy, kindness, and compassion for all living beings, regardless of material circumstances like form, shape, and size, etc. However, a proper distance is also to be maintained. For example, food to dogs, crows, worms, and lepers or chandas is to be offered outside the house. This is from Iskand Puran. There is hardly any book where the animals are not keeping company with the humans. If animals, at least some of them, can be raised for breeding or for raising other animals or products like meat, milk, fiber, or if they can be raised as pets for keeping a company, are some legitimate questions to be asked. One has to derive an answer to these questions by reading several texts in a logical sequence, though some texts answer it directly. For example, in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, a water, I will accept it. It means that Lord Krishna accepts vegetarian food only. In other words, it means that he will not accept non-vegetarian items like meat, fish, and eggs. Pets are generally reared to obtain these items. Also, keeping an animal as a pet violates the principle of equality. Again, there is a prohibition on selling meat and milk for certain varnas. For example, it is written in Manusmriti that, I quote, by selling meat, lac, or salt, a Brahmin falls immediately from his caste. By selling milk, he becomes a Shudra in 3 days. Thus, unquote, thus it can be concluded that no pet is to be reared for the purpose of getting flesh and selling milk, at least by a Brahmin. However, there are also some pets that are raised for some other purpose than obtaining meat. For example, a dog, a cat, or a parrot are generally not raised for their flesh, but for company and entertainment. There are certain other animals that have been named in some texts not to be reared up as pets. For example, a Hindu is not supposed to keep a cat, dog, hog, cock, or hen and birds as a pet. According to Ling Puran, even the husks and dust particles raised by a goat, dog, donkey, or camel destroys fortune. Even the wind from the buttocks and from the mouths of animals dispel the merits of a person. Thus, a donkey and a camel may also be kept in the category of the animals not to be reared up by a Hindu. The reason for this sort of censure appears to lie in maintaining the hygienic conditions. However, birds like a domestic pigeon, parrot, and manna are exceptions. This is according to Mahabharata. It may also be according to the entertainment purposes. No animal is merely an object for wanton human use and consumption in the Hindu tradition. The killing of insects, worms, and birds is considered to be a defiling act, Mahapatak, in Agni Puran. Harming or killing of a cow or animal or on any account, and like keeping it bound, obstructing its movements, yoking it, and tying of the bell or ornament, some mishap to the cow in the forest, mountains, inaccessible terrain, or due to sickness is also considered to be a sin for which an expiation is needed. This is from Agni Puran. If a cow or ox dies on account of taming, goading, or chaining, or confining, or yoking to a cart, or while being tied to the pillar, chain, or rope, one has to do a certain kind of expiation. This is again from Agni Puran. The harm caused to the animal when the horn or the bone of a cow has been broken or the tail has been cut off also requires to be atoned. Agni Puran. Atonement is to be practiced separately for every killing if a herd of cows has been killed accidentally, again from Agni Puran. And this process of expiation for torturing and killing a cow or ox, etc., has been mentioned in Agni Puran. Even the killing of a cat or an alligator or a mongoose or a frog or a dog or a bird is considered to be a sin, for which considered to be a sin for which expiation is needed. At this stage, let me dwell on the related issue of Hindu concerns about consuming meat in one form or the other: animal sacrifice and non-vegetarianism. Before having a detailed discussion on the issue, a mention of the following 3 general beliefs will not be out of place. What are they? That there is a sanctity for animal sacrifice across the world religions. That animal sacrifices on account of individual and collective religious faith are a reality. That the history of humans is a history of the movement from non-vegetarianism to vegetarianism. Daniel Ulushi holds that animal sacrifice was one of the most pervasive and socially significant practices of Greco-Roman religion. There are many references to animal sacrifice in the Old Testament. Similarly, a Muslim celebration of Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Zuha, is incomplete unless a cow, a goat, a camel or buffalo or sheep is sacrificed on the sacred altar. It is commemorative of Abraham's readiness in offering the life of his son Ishmael. Imam then holds that Ramadan cannot be celebrated in accordance with the injunctions of the Holy Quran without animal sacrifice. Accordingly, the meat of animals like camels, cows, sheep, chickens, fish is approved halal in Islam. And while that of animals like horse, donkey, mule, elephant, pig, predators with fangs and birds that hunt with claws is forbidden, haram, right? One finds a parallel to this in Manu Smriti, where a list of birds and animals whose meat is not to be consumed has been mentioned. This is interpreted by some scholars as a sanction for non-vegetarian. Wendy Doniger, for example, holds that sacrifice is central to Hinduism throughout its history, though it has meant very different things to different Hindus at different times. Unquote. Some scholars argue that a Hindu seeks justification in the Ashwamedh, Gomedh, Ajmedh, Gajmedh, Narmedh, and several others mentioned in the scriptures. Contrary to this view, commentators like Swami Dayanand, Saraswati, Devi Chand, Acharya Sri Ram Sharma, Swami Satyaprakash Saraswati, and Tulsi Ram have offered altogether different translations or interpretations of these verses. For the limitations of the space, let me cite a few examples from Devi Chand and Satyaprakash Saraswati regarding Narmed, human sacrifice. Devi Chand makes the following comment. Western scholars like Griffith, Colebrook, Weber, Wilson, Muir, Oldenburg, and Max Muller consider this, chapter 30, and next chapter, chapter 31, meant for human sacrifice. This is an erroneous idea. Just as Ashwamedh does not mean horse sacrifice, but the improvement of land for growing more food, so Puruhmed or Purushmed does not mean human sacrifice, but the perfection of man for spiritual and worldly advancement. This interpretation put upon these two words by Rishi Dayanand is highly logical and rational. I quote, "It's pity the Western scholars following Mahidhar and Sayan have miserably failed to understand that the true purport of these words." Regarding verse number 47 to 50 of the chapter 13 of Yajurved, Satyaprakash says that in this and the next four mantras, a prayer has been made to save some animals. If a prayer is being made in these verses, not to kill a horse, cow, milk, or other useful animals, sheep and goat and biped, and to protect the gregarious deer, the practice of sacrificing them does not seem to fall in line. Elsewhere too, in the text, Yajurved, for example, prayers for the safety and protection of bipeds and quadrupeds, happiness and welfare of a cow, horse and remedy for man and relief for ram and ewe are being made. In this light, the arguments of several scholars who hold that the word bali is wrongly translated as killing and the practice is misinterpreted as animal sacrifice seems to hold good. And the claim that one is expected to sacrifice one's own animalistic tendencies seems plausible. If one pursues this line of thought, one realizes that the word medha means purification. The dhatu part of Panini defines the root medha as synergizing the energies to perform something fruitful. And if this interpretation of the word medha is taken, the killing of different animals for any kind of sacrifice is neither intended nor desirable. A Hindu practices the religion of universal compassion. He keeps his lust, wrath, and cupidity under control. All these are not limited to the human world only, but are extended to all the creatures. It was because of the compassion for a crying bird on the death of its companion that the first couplet in Sanskrit is said to have been uttered spontaneously in rage and grief by Valmiki, the first seer poet. The one who, for the motives of his own happiness, harms and other harmless creatures is condemned for the same. Brahma, as manifests in the human beings, dwells in animals too. In the Mahabharata, it is written that a person who regards all creatures as his own self and behaves towards them as towards his own self, laying aside the rod of chastisement and completely subjugating his wrath, succeeds in attaining happiness. In very unambiguous terms, Skanda Puran instructs a person never to eat meat. I quote, if a person deluded by sins cooks meat for his own sake, he shall remain in hell for as many years as there are hair on his body. Those evil-minded persons who nourish their own lives to the lives of other living beings suffer the torture of hells till the end of the kalpa. Thereafter, they will be preyed upon by them. Even the vital breaths come up to the throat, that is to the point of death. No one should eat flesh. If it becomes essential, then one should eat one's own flesh and not that of others. It has been enjoined upon a Hindu to save the life of an animal that has fallen into the hands of a butcher by purchasing it. This is from Vishnu Dharmottar Purana. Now, the question arises, if the Hindus love animals so much and that there are such determined and univocal instructions against non-vegetarianism, why the animals are sacrificed in some of the Hindu temples and why so many Hindus are non-vegetarians? Before answering the questions, a look at some of the verses in Vishnu Puran that hint at the scriptural debate on the issue may not be out of place. If, I quote from Vishnu Puran, if mighty demons you cherish a desire either for heaven or for final repose, desist from the iniquitous massacre of animals for sacrifice and hear from me what you should do. Know that all that exists is composed of discriminative knowledge. This is Vishnu Puran. In the same Puran, after a few verses, an argument against animal sacrifice is also presented, though it is called a heretical argument of the foes of the gods, Suras. I quote, if an animal slaughtered in religious worship is thereby raised to heaven, would it not be expedient for a man who institutes a sacrifice to kill his own father for a victim? This is Vishnu Puran. I am highlighting this to prove that a debate between the proponents of animal sacrifice or non-vegetarianism and those who oppose it, that is the vegetarians, cuts across various philosophical systems. Those who are against animal sacrifice but don't dare to go against the authority of the Vedic text advance a very weak argument saying sacrificial violence mentioned in the Vedic text is no violence. Vediki hinsa, hinsa na bhavti. The Manusmriti explains the meaning of the word Sanskrit word mans as me, he. Mansa will devour in the next world, whose meat I eat in this. This is the meatness, mansatva of the meat, as the wise ones declare. In this light, it appears that meat eating has been condemned in the text. Swami Dayanand, who started Arya Samaj, says that the Vedas have been misinterpreted and mistranslated to justify animal sacrifice. Acharya Sri Ram Sharma of Gayatri Parvar fame explains that there is no mention of sacrificial violence in the sacred Hindu text, and the meaning of certain words has wrongly been derived and deciphered, because of which such a situation has occurred. This seems quite plausible. In my limited reading of the Vedic text, I have not come across any god or goddess who asks for animal or human sacrifice, unlike the case in the Old Testament that I have already referred to. On the other hand, Atharvaveda implores death for those who ingest eggs, embryos, and flesh after slaying animals. Some scholars believe that non-violence as a Hindu thought is a later development under the influence of Jain and Buddhist philosophies. There is a contrary internal evidence to this in the Mahabharata. At least in 3 chapters in Mahabharata, meat eating and yagya sacrifice has been condemned. Here I give one instance from 13th chapter. Yudhishthir's following words in the Anushashan Par. I quote, on the authority of the evidence of Vedas, Rishis and Brahmins and Devas applaud ahimsa as a characteristic of Dharma. Suggests that ahimsa is a Vedic thought. The word ahimsa, that is abstaining from causing harm or injury, occurs in Rig Veda at several places. Non-violence is one of the 5 dakshinas in Chandogya Upanishad. Ahimsa is one of the 5 restraints mentioned in Yoga Sutra, and 1 in 10 in Shandilya Upanishad. Moreover, the meaning of the word non-violence is very wide in Upanishad, as it includes causing no pain to any living being at any time through the actions of one's mind, actions of one's speech, actions of one's bodily actions. The thought continues even in Mahabharata. At several places in Mahabharata, it has been reiterated that non-violence is the ultimate dharma or cardinal duty. In the Vishnu Dharmottar Puran, enjoins upon a Hindu to be a vegetarian like a deer or a bird which survive in the trees, plants and creepers, and there are a few verses in Manu Smriti where non-violence has not only been propagated but also glorified. Further, the descriptions one reads in various Indian epics and religious and secular literature is replete with conflict between the sages and the asuras, and the most common technique to disturb the yagyas of the rishis in these narratives is to splash pieces of meat and blood. If the sages were non-vegetarians, they would enjoy the situation of getting the edibles without going even to ask for the alms. On the contrary, none of the sages is shown enjoying the situation. This proves that the sages were vegetarians. The Hindus believe in the oneness of beings. The idea finds manifestation in the following verses of Yajurveda. I quote, those who see all beings as souls do not feel infatuation or anguish at their sight, for they experience oneness with them. Jagdish Chandra Bose has proved this through his scientific experiments described in the plant autographs and their revelations in 1927. He writes, I quote, when animal, plant or metals have been subjected to the same questioning shocks, they have in all cases given similar replies. They exhibited similar fatigue and show similar exaltation under stimulants. We have thus examined the autographic records of the living and non-living. How similar are the writings? So similar indeed that we cannot tell one from other. If oneness is felt with other beings, humans, animals, birds, etc., one cannot think of killing them. There are a couple of mantras from Vedas where unambiguously restrain killing animals on food, which unambiguously restrain killing animals for food. For example, Rig Veda says, bestow God's felicity upon both classes of our living beings, bipeds and quadrupeds. Let they be strong and healthy by eating and drinking. Save us from hurt of all days, O powers. Grant us happiness and freedom from sin. Rig Veda further says, another verse, one who feeds on human flesh or the flesh of a horse or of other animal and deprives others of milk by slaughtering cows, O king, do not hesitate to punish such a person severely if such a fiend does not desist from any other means. Similarly, in Yajurveda, it has been prayed that the bodies of those subjects, humans or animals or whatever, that deserve protection should not be destroyed. A person who seeks to increase his own flesh by eating the flesh of others is described as a sinner in Manusmriti, in contrast with the Buddhist idea of eating flesh. In Manusmriti, the idea of sin on account of non-vegetarianism is not confined only to the consumer, but also includes all those associated with the process. He approves, he cuts, he who kills, he who buys and sells, he who kicks, and he who cooks, and he who serves, and those who eat meat are slayers. This is what Manusmriti is saying. Atharvaved prays that all those capable of being parents should survive. I quote, O teeth, you eat rice, you eat barley, you eat gram, and you eat sesame. These are specifically meant for you. Do not kill those who are capable of being fathers and mothers. Another mantra in Atharvaved says, it is definitely a great sin to kill innocents. Do not kill our cows, horses, or people. The idea of not killing animals for food and not eating flesh for survival finds a mention not only in the Sanskrit text, but is prominently present even in the classical Tamil text Tirukkural. In the first part of the text entitled Virtue, there is one chapter entitled The Renunciation of Flesh and another entitled Non-Killing. These chapters may be summarized as the sum of all virtuous conduct is never to destroy life, and destruction of life leads to every evil. Now, these are some of the references from Mahabharata where this meat eating has been condemned. So I am skipping all these sections. Now, there are 3 chapters devoted to the condemnation of non-vegetarianism, drinking, and violence in the Anushasana Parva of Mahabharata. Chapters number 114, 115, 116. They highlight the love and respect that Hindus have for the lives of animals and birds. The most common form of violence against animals daily is in the form of slaying them to obtain flesh which cannot be had from grass or wood or stone. And the sage argues that if there were nobody who ate flesh, there would then be nobody to kill the living creatures. The man who slaughters living creatures kills them for the sake of person who eats flesh. If flesh were regarded as edible, there would be no slaughter of living creatures. It is for the sake of eater that the slaughter of living creatures goes on in the world. Vyas therefore concludes, hence the fault lies in eating meat. Mahabharata declares that men of wisdom who are endued with penances never consume meat. Diverse kinds of merits like ills, vices, punishments have been associated with eating meat, including taking honey in the text. The question, why does one eat meat, has been asked, and Vyasa spells out 2 reasons: to build muscles and for gratifying one's own taste. According to taste, 3 types of meats can be consumed or are consumed. They are cooked with all types of spices, that cooked with salt only, and that cooked without salt. Any action taken involves 3 steps: desire, opportunity for fulfilling a desire, and action needs to fulfill the desire. In case of non-vegetarianism too, the following are the 3 steps. Desire, man's desire to eat meat. Words, exhortation for eating meat. And taste, consuming meat. Any person associated with any of these 3 is called a non-vegetarian and shall have retribution accordingly. Non-vegetarian food includes meat coming from a slain by self or others, or dead animals, birds for free, or by purchase. Therefore, a vegetarian needs to discard meat in any form, irrespective of its source and action, word, and thought. A person who is in vegetarian in his eating habits but helps in spreading non-vegetarianism by way of recommending meat or running a business that promotes non-vegetarianism, like running a piggery farm or an abattoir or a restaurant, etc., is also ordained as a sinner. The text also encourages a person to turn vegetarian at any stage of one's life. However, some verses seem to make exception for sacrificial meat, but all these verses can also be interpreted in different meanings, as has been done by Acharya Sri Ram Sharma, that I have already referred to. In contradistinction to such verses stands the following verse that condemns animal sacrifice in the name of Vedic rituals. The flesh-greedy, foolish and wretched person who commits violence against the living beings in the name of Vedic rituals like yajna, yag, etc. goes to hell. This settles the matter, and it can be said with authority that Hindus are all for seeing animals and birds as equals and do not see them as sacrificial creatures. Since the Vedic period and the Mahabharata period precede the Buddha and Jain period, it can be safely presumed that the ideas of non-violence and vegetarianism are an integral part of the Hindu or Vedic texts. I think I should stop here. What do you say, sir?
Sir, it's upon you. आप जैसा चाहें, क्योंकि बहुत ही
ये
इंटरेस्टिंग
बड़ा लंबी फाइल है सर मेरे
हाँ।
this file runs into 90 pages.
ओहो नहीं तो ठीक है फिर तो
I can go on.
शानदार लेक्चर चल रहा है, शानदार।
लेकिन साहब अद्भुत है साहब, आपने जो मेहनत की है इसके साथ,
Thank you, sir.
कल्पना
Thank
नहीं
you so
कर
much,
सकते।
sir.
और
बहुत जबरदस्त, बहुत जबरदस्त।
हाँ नहीं, इसमें तो कोई दो राय नहीं है। पूरी वो जो
सर।
परंपराएं हैं जिसको आपने इतना गवेषणापूर्ण शोध किया है,
सर,
मैं तो अद्भुत, और भारतीय ज्ञान परंपरा कितनी विस्तृत और व्यापक है इसका भी एहसास होता है आपको सुनकर के, कि किस तरह से आपने विभिन्न उपनिषदों और उनका उदाहरण देकर के दूसरे जो इब्राहिम धर्म की आपने बात की, किस तरह से कंपैरिजन किया है आपने सृष्टि की उत्पत्ति से लेकर के मनुष्य और एनिमल्स के जो रिश्ते हैं उसको लेकर के, और कैसे हमारे यहाँ कहा गया है कि इनको एक तरह से इनको मारना एक तरह से पाप है, और मांसाहार और शाकाहार उसके जो पूरे मनोविज्ञान को आपने स्पष्ट किया है। मुझे लगता है बहुत दिनों बाद एक इस तरह का जो वक्तव्य है सुनने को मिला। मुझे लगता है कि यदि पुस्तकाकार आपके प्रकाशन की स्थिति में होगा, जब आप 90 पेजेस बता रहे हैं तो आराम से 150-150 पेज की पुस्तक तो हो ही सकती है ये, और है ना यदि वो छपेगा तो मुझे लगता है एक बहुत बड़ा समुदाय जो है इससे लाभान्वित हो।
प्रकाशन जरूर
वास्तव में भारत सरकार ने जो IKS की बात की है कि हमारे विद्यार्थियों को नई पीढ़ी को परिचित कराया जाए, वास्तव में वो सार्थक है, क्योंकि इतने गंभीर विवेचन बहुत ही मतलब अद्भुत और रोचक रोमांचक है। लगता है सुनते ही जाएं, लेकिन समय की अपनी सीमाएं हैं। इसके पूर्व की कोई हमारे मित्र सवाल पूछना चाहें, एक छोटा सा एक हम आपको ई सर्टिफिकेट और ई मेमेंटो, हालांकि बहुत छोटी सी भेंट है, लेकिन फिर भी एक आज की शाम की स्मृति को यादगार बनाने के लिए मैं फिर प्रियंका जी से अनुरोध करूंगा कि एक ई सर्टिफिकेट और ई मेमेंटो प्रेजेंट करें। इसके बाद 10-15 मिनट के लिए सत्र ओपन है क्वेश्चन आंसर के लिए। प्रियंका जी।
सर थैंक यू सो मच, आपने मुझे फिर से मौका दिया कि हमारे सर को मैं एक ग्रेटिट्यूड ऑफ ऑनर एंड रिस्पेक्ट शो करूं थ्रू दिस ई सर्टिफिकेट। सर आपने जितनी डिटेल्स बताई उसके लिए सारी चीजें बहुत कम है, बट स्टिल यू डिजर्व दिस ऑल। थैंक यू सो मच सर।
थैंक यू जी।
Sir, this is a
Ye-
key memento from our side and communication today. We are very
जी।
grateful to have you in this platform.
जी
चलिए,
जी
वैसे
आई
तो
एक्सेप्ट विद ऑल ह्यूमिलिटी।
Thank you so much, sir.
हालांकि आपका वक्तव्य बहुत विस्तृत और लंबा था, लेकिन फिर भी 5-7 मिनट में कोई सवाल पूछना चाहें, कोई क्लेरिफिकेशन या और जानकारी, तो आमंत्रित है, या कोई ऑब्जर्वेशंस हो। भोपाल से हमारे प्रोफेसर गौतम जी जुड़े। हाँ सर।
प्रोफेसर जी गौतम साहब कुछ कहना चाह रहे थे।
हाँ गौतम साहब, आप बोलिए। अपना वीडियो ऑन कीजिए ना, वीडियो रिकॉर्डिंग हो रही है।
प्रोफेसर शर्मा साहब, मैंने जिंदगी भर में जितने भी लेक्चर सुने हैं उनमें से सबसे बेहतर था आपका प्रेजेंटेशन। क्या शानदार एविडेंसेस के साथ आपने प्रस्तुत किया है। मेरे पास आई
थैंक
हैव
यू
नो
वेरी मच
वर्ड्स,
सर,
befitting words
थैंक यू
to
वेरी मच।
appreciate your presentation. God bless you. God bless
Thank
you.
you,
इसको
sir.
पब्लिश जरूर करवाइए। God bless you.
जी सर, जी सर, जी सर। अपना वीडियो तो ऑन कर दीजिए गौतम साहब, रिक्वेस्ट आ रही है आपको बनावत साहब की
क्योंकि
तरफ से।
रिकॉर्डिंग हो रही है तो अच्छा
रिकॉर्डिंग हो
रहता
रही
है।
है।
जी 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 सर, जी सर।
जी सर।
सर आपकी बात से सहमत है कि शब्द कम पड़ गए।
You have
मैं
insulted us.
सर, हमारी कलीग और मेरी स्टूडेंट रही है प्रोफेसर जया चक्रवर्ती, जो
जी।
राजस्थान यूनिवर्सिटी में इंग्लिश की प्रोफेसर थी। मैं तो उनके
जी,
प्रति भी
जी।
कृतज्ञता प्रकट करूंगा उनके अनुपस्थिति में, कि
जी।
उन्होंने मुझे प्रोफेसर सुशील कुमार शर्मा जी तक पहुंचाया, और ये कितना सुंदर व्याख्यान और हमें सुनने को मिला। तो प्रोफेसर जया जी का विशेष आभार। वो शायद ट्रेवलिंग में इसलिए ज्वाइन नहीं कर पाई, बाकी उनका करने का था।
नहीं वो, हाँ वो उनका फोन आया था सर मेरे पास, वो पटना में किसी कॉन्फिडेंशियल काम में है।
हाँ हाँ हाँ, तो बस वो इसीलिए।
और
जी,
एक
जी,
प्रश्न
जी।
एक प्रश्न जो है बहुत दिनों से मेरे साथ चल
सूरज जी,
रहा है।
अपना परिचय दीजिए, उसके बाद पहले परिचय दीजिए आप।
मैं सूरज देव प्रसाद, और वर्तमान में विद्या यूनिवर्सिटी में पत्रकारिता एवं जनसंचार विभाग में सहायक प्रवक्ता हूं सर।
मेरठ में है सर ये।
जी सर, मेरठ उत्तर प्रदेश से सर।
जी।
बहुत दिनों से, मतलब लगभग जो है 15-20 सालों से एक प्रश्न मेरे दिमाग में चल रहा है, जो कि महापंडित राहुल सांकीर्तन की जो पुस्तक है वोल्गा से गंगा, तो
जी।
वोल्गा से गंगा में उन्होंने जो है सुपर्ण योद्धे नामक जो पाठ उन्होंने लिखा है, उसमें बहुत ही, मतलब ये पूरा व्याख्यान को मैं सम्मानित करते हुए, स्वीकारते हुए, जो उनका मतलब वक्तव्य है जो उन्होंने लिखा है, उसको मैं थोड़ा सा कोट करना चाहता हूं, ताकि
जी, जी।
सर की जब पुस्तक आए तो कम से कम इस तरह की चीजों को, या तो भ्रांति है तो उसको क्लियर किया जाए, या सच्चाई क्या है उस पर थोड़ा सा प्रकाश डालेंगे सर। वो लिखते हैं सर कि रंती देव के भोजनालय में एक भारत के वन पर्व के 208 श्लोक से है, और 8 से 10वां श्लोक लिख रहे हैं कि रंती देव के भोजनालय में प्रतिदिन 2000 गायें मारी जाती थी। उनका गीला चमड़ा रसोई में रखा जाता था। उसी का टपका हुआ जल जो बहा वही एक नदी बन गया। चर्म से निकलने के कारण उसका नाम चर्मणवती पड़ा, जो कि महानदी के नाम से है। इसको वन पर्व में भी उन्होंने कोट किया है 208 श्लोक में, और शांति पर्व में भी श्लोक किया है। महानदी चर्मण श्लोक सर से ये था, ऐसा करके उन्होंने पूरा व्याख्यायित किया वन पर्व और शांति पर्व में।
जी, जी।
आगे उन्होंने दोबारा से जो है द्रोण पर्व का भी जो है उन्होंने रेफरेंस देते हुए उसके भी 67 नंबर श्लोक में, और द्रोण पर्व के 66 नंबर श्लोक में, फिर शांति पर्व के श्लोक में उन्हीं तरह की चीजों को दोहराया कि गोमांस गोमांस को पकाने वाले 2000 रसोइये थे।
जी।
इसके साथ उन्होंने साथ में जो है मेघदूत का भी हवाला देते हुए लिखा है कि हमारे पूर्वज ऋषि गो रक्षा करते थे, किंतु गो भक्षण के लिए मेघदूत में चर्मणती यानी कि चंबल को गाय मारने से उत्पन्न रंती देव की कृति लिखा हुआ है। तो ये बहुत ही, मतलब, और तमाम तरह की बातें कही जाती रही कि जब बौद्ध धर्म का परास्त हुआ, मतलब जब अवसान हुआ, उसके बाद का जो हिंदू धर्म का उदय हुआ, उन्होंने अहिंसा धर्म को स्वीकार किया, क्योंकि बौद्धिज्म में जो है वो अहिंसा परमो धर्म करके उन्होंने किया था। उसके पहले हिंदू धर्म में जो तमाम तरह की कुरीतियां थी, जिसमें सेक्रीफाइस भी शामिल था, बलि वगैरह प्रथाएं थी, तो उसको ओवरटेक करते हुए उन्होंने उस चीज को स्वीकार किया। और महापंडित राहुल सांकीर्तन की इस पुस्तक में वोल्गा से गंगा में तमाम रेफरेंस के साथ उन्होंने जो दिया है कि गो जो गाय पाली जाती थी वो गाय के भक्षण के लिए, और रंती देव का उसमें उदाहरण देते हुए कि उस वक्त इतने सारे ऋषि आ गए कि जो है वो मांस कम पड़ गया तो उनको जो है ग्रेवी से काम चलाना पड़ा। इस तरह की चीजें हैं। जहां तक मुझे याद है कि बनारस में जब इस उक्ति को रखा गया था तो बनारस वाराणसी के लोगों ने महापंडित राव संकीर्तन का बहिष्कार भी किया था, लेकिन वही वाराणसी स्थल रही जहां से राहुल संकीर्तन को महापंडित की उपाधि भी वाराणसी के जो संत थे और तमाम लोग थे उन्होंने दिया था। तो ये कंट्रोवर्सी ये मेरे दिमाग में बहुत समय से चलता रहा है, तो मुझे लगता है कि इस पे थोड़ा सा रोशनी डालने की जरूरत होगी कि ये जो पंक्तियां लिखी है उन्होंने किस संदर्भ में लिखी है, क्या उसकी व्याख्या उन्होंने गलत की या क्या वास्तविकता क्या है, तो उसको भी मुझे लगता है कि अपने शोध पत्र में सर यदि शामिल करेंगे तो मुझे लग रहा है कि बहुत अच्छा होगा। तो कृपया सर इस पे आप कुछ प्रकाश डालें सर।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। मुझे
जी।
फाइल शेयर करने की जरा इजाजत दे देंगे आप लोग फिर से।
प्रियंका जी।
जी
Then-
दी है इजाजत? चलो।
जी सर बिल्कुल।
वर्मा साहब ने जो प्रश्न उठाए हैं वो प्रश्न मैंने यहाँ पहले ही इस सेक्शन में एनिमल सेक्रीफाइस एंड नॉन वेजिटेरियनिज्म में ये सवालों का इन सारे प्रश्नों का उत्तर दिया है। जो वर्मा साहब के प्रश्न हैं जो उन्होंने राहुल सांकृत्यायन के माध्यम से उठाए हैं, तो सबसे पहला तो सवाल ये है दैट देयर इज ए सैंक्टिटी फॉर एनिमल सेक्रीफाइस अक्रॉस वर्ल्ड रिलीजन्स। आज भी आप कामाख्या के मंदिर में जाइए तो वहां पर एनिमल सेक्रीफाइस होता है, पशुपतिनाथ में जाइए एनिमल सेक्रीफाइस होता है, काली घाट पर जाइए कलकत्ता में एनिमल सेक्रीफाइस होता है। ये सारे हिंदू लोग ही हैं। फिर क्या है, द एनिमल सेक्रीफाइसेस ऑन अकाउंट ऑफ इंडिविजुअल एंड कलेक्टेड रिलीजियस फेथ आर ए रियलिटी। ठीक है भाई।
यस सर।
और फिर तीसरी चीज क्या है, द हिस्ट्री ऑफ ह्यूमंस इज द हिस्ट्री ऑफ मूवमेंट फ्रॉम नॉन वेजिटेरियनिज्म टू वेजिटेरियनिज्म। ये जो पॉइंट है ये सबसे महत्वपूर्ण प्रश्न है। तो महाभारत के दौरान भी या आपने जितने भी यज्ञों का विध्वंस सुना होगा वर्मा जी, उसमें जो दैत्य लोग आकर के क्या फेंकते हैं, मांस फेंकते हैं ना, मदरा फेंकते हैं ना
जी।
यदि वो, और फिर वो इसको कह रहे हैं इससे यज्ञ विध्वंस हो गया।
जी।
अरे भाई उनको तो भोजन मिल गया, यदि वो सारे ऋषि मांस खा रहे हैं तो उनको तो खुश होना चाहिए।
हाँ।
आज की है? तो ये कॉन्ट्रेरी एविडेंस जो आप दे रहे हैं मुझे, ये कॉन्ट्रेरी एविडेंस किसी भी महाभारत की कथा से या किसी भी अन्य कथा से बिल्कुल उसमें सामंजस्य नहीं। यज्ञ विध्वंस यदि मांस के टुकड़े से हो जा रहा है, शराब के टुकड़े से हो रहा है, तो उसको तो बड़ा खुश होना चाहिए ऋषि को, भोजन मिल गया। इसके माने दो परंपराएं थी जो परंपराएं आज भी हैं। जैसे मुझे नहीं मालूम आप में से कितने लोग के घरों में शराब का सेवन होता है, लेकिन तमाम घरों में ये कहा जाता है शराब का सेवन मत करिए। सरकारी दोनों काम कर रही है। सरकार का मद्य निषेध विभाग कहता है कि वो पैसा खर्च करता है शराब मत पीजिए। उसी मद्य विभाग की ये ड्यूटी है कि रेवेन्यू बढ़ाए।
जी।
है या नहीं है? ये तो कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन आज भी चल रहा है। आप डॉक्टर खूब मना कर रहा है उससे, पेशेंट से, कि तुम्हारा लिवर खराब हो गया, शराब मत पीना। वो कहता है कि हाँ मैं शराब नहीं पीऊंगा। अगले दिन उसको फिर उसी समय पर शराब चाहिए। तो क्या आदतें हैं और कौन किस व्यक्ति की वो आदतें हैं और क्या वो करना चाहता है, समाज किस डायरेक्शन में जा रहा है, क्या समाज को हम डायरेक्शन से ले जा रहे हैं नॉन वेजिटेरियनिज्म से वेजिटेरियनिज्म की तरफ या वेजिटेरियनिज्म से वेजिटेरियनिज्म की तरफ, ये हमको देखना है। और महाभारत में भी वो डिबेट हो रही है, शांति पर है, वो जो अनुशासन पर्व है उसमें यज्ञ चल रहा है, यज्ञ के बाद सैक्रिफिशियल एनिमल्स आए हैं वहां पर।
हाँ
इसके माने सैक्रिफाइस तो होता था ना, तब तो सैक्रिफिशियल एनिमल्स आए हैं।
जी जी
लेकिन
जी
ऋषि ने क्या कहा फिर? ऋषि ने उनकी आंखों में आंसू देखे एनिमल्स,
जी
और उनमें करुणा का भाव जागा, और
जी
उन्होंने कहा किसी भी टेक्स्ट में किसी भी तरीके से इन एनिमल्स का सेक्रीफाइस जस्टिफाइबल नहीं है। तो राजा ने कहा फिर ये यज्ञ पूर्ण कैसे होगा?
जी
ठीक है, ये कहानियां भी तो उसी महाभारत में है।
जी
तो ये कहना कि सारे ऋषि मांस खाते थे, सारे ऋषि गाय खाते थे, सारे ऋषि ये करते थे, ये सब interpretation है। और इसलिए जो जो काशी के पंडित थे उन्होंने उनका बहिष्कार ठीक ही किया।
जी
हेलो,
जी जी
ठीक है, उनका
जी
बहिष्कार करके ठीक ही किया। लेकिन चूंकि पढ़ा है इसलिए पंडित तो वही है।
जी
देखिए प्रॉब्लम पंडित शब्द के साथ क्या है, वो है जैसे आजकल का पीएचडी है ना,
हाँ
डॉक्टर तो वही है।
हाँ
अब वो डॉक्टरेट पीएचडी थीसिस किस लेवल की है? देखिए बीए एमए में आप फर्स्ट डिवीजन, सेकंड डिवीजन, थर्ड डिवीजन बताते हैं, पीएचडी में बताते हैं क्या?
नहीं नहीं नहीं
तो
नहीं
ऋषि तो है वो। टीचर तमाम
जी
तरह के हैं, सारे प्रोफेसर ही क्या सारे प्रोफेसर की कैटेगरी एक जैसी है क्या?
नहीं
आज भी नहीं है, लेकिन कहते हो सबको प्रोफेसर ही है ना आप, आज भी,
जी जी जी
है ना? तो इसमें
जी जी
हमको ये देखना होगा, इसमें हमको ये देखना होगा कि किस प्रकार से मूवमेंट सिविलाइजेशन का कैसे होता है, और
जी
सिविलाइजेशन कैसे किधर को बढ़ा है। तो जो मेरी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है सिविलाइजेशन की, जितना मैंने पढ़ा है, वो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है फ्रॉम नॉन वेजिटेरियनिज्म टू वेजिटेरियनिज्म।
जी
ये विचार जो आपने कहा अहिंसा परमो धर्म, ये सवाल तो मैंने पूरा उठाया, पूरा सेक्शन उसी का है।
क्लियर क्लियर
ये
सर क्लियर
बताइए यदि ये वाक्य अहिंसा परमो धर्म यदि महाभारत में है तो बुद्धिज्म ने वहां से लिया या बुद्धिज्म से पहले ले लिया महाभारतकार ने?
ऐसी बात है कि
डेट
बुद्धिज्म
तो
ने लिया
महाभारत की,
महाभारत से
नहीं डेट तो महाभारत की पहले
हाँ हाँ
है भाई।
हाँ हाँ
बुद्धिज्म फिफ्थ सेंचुरी, फिफ्थ सेंचुरी का है, और वो 5000 बीसी की किताब है।
ये,
तो इसके माने विचार कौन सा कहां से आया? बुद्धिज्म से महाभारत में आ गया है, महाभारत से बुद्धिज्म में आया होगा,
महाभारत से
है?
बुद्धिज्म में आया
उसमें से जो महावाक्य हैं वो बुद्ध ने ले लिए।
जी
और ये केवल महाभारत में नहीं है अहिंसा परमो धर्म, ये वेद में भी है,
जी
बिल्कुल अहिंसा परमो धर्म है। तो यदि ये लिखा हुआ है, वेद में लिखा हुआ है, तो ये वाक्य बुद्धिज्म से वेद में आ गया या वेद से बुद्धिज्म में आ गया?
यही सी बात
ये
है
हमको समझना चाहिए, अपनी बुद्धि का प्रयोग करना पड़ेगा इसमें।
जी। तो मैं बस यही अनुरोध कर रहा था सर कि ये जो इस पुस्तक में ना, इसको आप सर अपने रिसर्च पेपर में या जो आप लिख रहे हैं सर, उसमें इसको कंडेम करेंगे कि जो है सर ये जो लिखा हुआ, हो सकता है कि इसका जो अनुवाद उन्होंने किया हो सकता है एक ही श्लोक के बहुत सारे अर्थ भी होते हैं, तो हो सकता है कि उन्होंने कोई दूसरा अर्थ निकाला हो।
देखिए ये मेरी फाइल अभी मैंने आपको बताया 90 पेज की हो गई, और अभी ये काम पूरा नहीं है।
जी जी
अब अभी तो एनिमल्स चल रहे हैं, फिर बर्ड चलेंगे, फिर इंसेक्ट्स चलेंगे। ठीक है ना? तो मैं ऐसे, है ना?
शर्मा साहब, आदरणीय
सर,
शर्मा साहब, मेरा एक रिक्वेस्ट था कि आप अपनी इस किताब में प्रेजेंटेशन में कुछ ऐसी रेमेडीज या कुछ मेजर्स गवर्नमेंट को और सोसाइटी को रहे कि एनिमल्स की जो और इनका सैक्रिफाइस और इनका शोषण और सब किलिंग, तो ये कुछ रुक सके आपके इस पेपर और किताब के माध्यम से, तो बड़ी कृपा होगी आपकी।
वो सर मैं केवल रिकमेंडेशन कर सकता हूँ, हम केवल आंदोलन कर सकते हैं, लेकिन जो सरकारें हैं ना वो हिंदू थॉट से चल नहीं रही।
जी जी, मैं समझ,
जो
आई कैन
जो
अंडरस्टैंड।
सो कॉल्ड हिंदू धर्म वाले भी पार्टी अपने आप को कह रही हैं, उनका
जी
भी जो फिलोसॉफिकल बेस है वो हिंदू नहीं है,
जी जी जी।
है ना? मुझे
और
कहने में बिल्कुल कोई शर्म नहीं है।
कोई
और
संकोच
इसलिए
नहीं है।
मैंने अपने
हाँ
पेपर में हिंदुइज्म ना वो करके मैंने केवल वहां पर फिलोसॉफिकल,
जी
हिंदू फिलोसॉफिकल